The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jenny Briggle from TechServe Alliance. Welcome to today's webinar, Virtual Demo Day on Emerging Talent Acquisition Technologies. Please feel free at any point during the webinar to write in any questions you would like to have answered in the question box on the right side of your screen. We will be doing a Q&A session following each demo today. Also, we are recording today's presentation, and it will be available to TechServe Alliance members on the Online Learning Center of the website. This is the second virtual demo day that TechServe is hosting. The first is currently available on the website. This virtual demo day is the growth from the potential impact of talent acquisition technologies emerging in our industry that we first started to see a couple of years ago. We wanted to offer some thought leadership on their impact on our industry. Thus, this virtual demo day is a critical step to provide you insight into what is happening in terms of the technology space impacting our industry. To do this virtual demo day, we partnered with Talent Tech Labs. Now I'd like to introduce Brian Daldane, Executive Vice President of Corporate Development and Innovation at Talent Tech Labs, to tell you a little more about Talent Tech Labs and Virtual Demo Day. Brian?
Thank you, Jenny. And thank you, attendees, for joining us this afternoon. We're really excited to be able to have this second opportunity to present in partnership with TechServe. What I'd like to do is simply provide a little bit of context as to who we are so that you have an awareness of when you get to the technology piece of this, just how things have been vetted and prepared for your consumption. You know, Talent Tech Labs was founded by a very progressive staffing company called Mitchell Martin. Mitchell Martin is focused on IT staffing and has a healthcare business as well. The company is very forward-thinking and has always been trying to tinker with new technologies. And so we found ourselves always in the market for trying to find a competitive advantage to make our service better for our clients and our recruiters' lives better. But as many of you might have witnessed yourselves, as soon as you put your toe in the water, you'll be deluged with calls from salespeople and software promoters telling you about the latest and greatest shiny object that they've brought to market. And in fact, it's really quite overwhelming. So what we did is try to sit back and think about how do we clarify this and how do we make it something that's more easy to consume and help companies and buyers make their way through this, this maze of new entrants into the space. It's particularly important now because the pace of innovation in our space is going up exponentially. And so there's no shortage of companies coming to market that want to present what they call a best solution for you to try. What we did a couple of years back is step back and tried to categorize the space. And we created this taxonomy, which was meant to be a decision support tool to people that were buying and using technologies. And so we came up with this taxonomy, which really tried to map out where these new pieces of tech fit, anywhere ranging from sourcing through the engagement of candidates up to the point of hire. And so with this, we call it our ecosystem, we've been able to map companies to verticals that illustrate the areas of core functionality that these technologies bring to market. Now, you'll see when we started this, there was about 180 companies that we had on this ecosystem. On today's current release, which you can find on our website, there's over 265. But more importantly, behind that, in our database sit about another 1,500 companies, all of which we have interviewed and vetted. And the ones that end up on this chart are really ones that we believe have something innovative or influential to bring to market. And that's a whole other discussion about how that level of intelligence is applied to sorting through these. But what I just wanted to express was we created this taxonomy as a way to help people assess the tools that are available to them. Now, in terms of how we've appraised technology we're going to present to you today, just a word about our core functionality here at Talent Tech Labs. We're all about developing community. And so one large community constituent group are all the people in the staffing industry that are responsible for buying decisions around technology. heads of delivery, CEOs, COOs, individuals responsible for determining tech acquisition. Another community like that are the corporate counterparts, people in corporations who are making the buying decisions. And of course, another big community is all the CEOs and founders of the startups. And so what we do here by day is we actually promote early stage companies through an incubation program. We bring companies in and we mentor and educate them. We put them in touch with users like yourselves and allow them to demonstrate their products and get feedback so they can help accelerate their way into market. And we call this perfecting their product market fit. And at the right time, we expose them to sources of funding. When we sit in the middle of this vortex, we're also in a position to harvest a tremendous amount of information. And so on the right-hand side of this slide, you'll see that we're always collecting and cataloging information on the companies that we see, the companies that make up the space, and then we publish research, some of it free, and some of it on a contract basis, depending on users that come to us and make a request. So this is what Talent Tech Labs is all about. It really at its core is developing a sense of community through our incubation and through our research and publication. So at this point, what I'd like to do is move us ahead and ask Jonathan Kestenbaum, who's the Executive Director of Talent Tech Labs, responsible for all the incubation activities, to take you through how we vet companies so that by the time we get to presenting the few that we're going to show you today, you'll have an awareness of what they've been through to sort of get through our gauntlet. Jonathan?
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. So we have a pretty sophisticated vetting process we've put together. There are two ways we identify interesting companies. One is they reach out to us, and the second is we reach out to them. Generally, we'll use our ecosystem to identify trends in the space through which we'll go after specific companies that we find interesting. When we identify a company that we want to chat with more, we bring them in for a demo. We'll spend about 45 minutes on a phone call with them and vet both the product and the team. We then feature the technology in front of our expert review committee, which is made up of about 20 people that are members of our investors' companies, so Mitchell Martin, Mercer, and Allegis Group, and they fill out a questionnaire which helps us understand whether they think that this technology would be viable in the market and whether they have value they can add. So over the last 2.5 years, we've demoed over 1,500 talent acquisition technology companies from around the world, and today we've selected 3 companies that we believe are truly innovative that we want to demonstrate to you today. The first is a database enrichment tool, the second an innovative API connector, and the third a job marketing and distribution platform, all of which we know will significantly boost your company's hiring efficiency. The first company we'll be presenting to you guys today is a company called Fire. Fire works on the sites you already use. There's no need to change your existing workflow or learn a new system. Their product sidebar is a browser extension which automatically opens as you view candidates or requisitions and displays useful details such as notes and contact methods. It updates your ATS simultaneously, ensuring the most up-to-date details and useful information is always on file. Tim, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Great. Thanks so much, Jonathan, and thank you, TechServe and Talent Tech, for inviting us to be a part of today. Really appreciate you guys' time as well to join and take a look at these exciting 3 technology companies coming forward. So my name is Tim Arnold. I'm the founder of Fire. Our backstory is that I was working in an IT staffing company, full desk, and I just kept finding I was spending more time doing data entry and logging my activities than actually talking to candidates, being on the phone. And that really is frustrating me from, building my commission perspective, but also from a bigger productivity concern. So I kind of stepped back and looked at the market and went to Staffing World and TechServe and kind of looked at what was out there, some of those 1,500 plus companies that are in our space. And I didn't really see anything that kind of met what I was looking for, which was helping me do my job more efficiently rather than reinventing my job or adding new hoops to jump through or new systems to have to check. And so the idea was, well, what if you could take the robotic tasks out of the recruiters so that then I could focus on being, working with humans. And so with that, from that high level, really what we're looking at is how do we have fresh data on candidates and jobs? I mean, that's absolutely key for any staffing company. If you don't have good candidates or jobs, then you have no business. The ATSs are how you track that, keep things fresh, but it leaves you kind of a slave to keeping everything updated in your system. And if you're not keeping it updated, there's worse penalties. And then no easy way exists to streamline this updating of these different critical business data for staffing companies. And so, you can look at outsourcing and other options, but there's a lot of still hurdles there. And we came out of the approach of ATS automation, where robotically these tasks that are so repetitive in our space are being completed. And so what that can do is can help you lower costs by saving time, like we're doing with Mitchell Martin, from manual labor of entering in that job data or candidate data. Hire smarter by making sure you always have the right information and history about that candidate without having to cross-check multiple platforms and hiring data and different pieces of information like we're doing with Korn Ferry. And then you can focus on your team, have them do what they do great, which is work with people and recruit great other people. And a key part of that is having that whole team be in sync and always know what conversations have happened in the past so that they can have an educated conversation. And so we do this through a two-pronged approach. We have a desk-level tool called Fire Sidebar and a cloud enterprise-wide solution called Fire Sync. And so the desk-level tool is for actual candidates when you're out there sourcing, and then the agency-wide solution is for VMS, vendor management systems. And we'll go ahead and take a look at Sidebar first, and then we'll come back to Sync in just a few minutes. So Sidebar, again, is focused on the candidate side and the sourcing side. And what it really lets you do is keep those resumes and keep information that you're paying for and your team is spending time collecting by automatically loading that into your ATS. We found that that can lead to a 60% increase in candidate capture. And if you're not using a tool like this, those resumes are just being thrown away and you're not going to have that candidate down the road. Or you're going to have to find them again and pay for that resume once more. Also, it helps you speed up sourcing by automating the data entry, by putting in those candidates for you, tagging the source so you have the right ROI tracking, uploading the resume file, etc. And so what we're doing is we're taking a dozen different places you have to check whenever you're working on a candidate for a role and making it all into one place. And so at the bottom of the screen here you see the sidebar, and we're bringing together the job board, your calendar, your dialer, your ATS, your resumes, etc., and putting it into one simple streamlined view that is unified with the web. So as your recruiters are out there on job boards, this sidebar slides in automatically as they're looking at a resume. It goes to work, checks your ATS for any existing candidates that match, and if there's not one, it can either automatically push it in or give them a one-click button to push the candidate record into your ATS. And so all the information you're seeing here is synchronized with the ATS, contact methods, notes, actual resume files, etc. And there's a hot link right there as well to directly launch the ATS window. So take you right into their Bullhorn record, their eRecruit record, etc. And ultimately, it also helps with making sure you have the right data going in so that your team has no more excuses to log notes and, oh, I was working too fast. Well, it's right there on the same screen. And so we find that a lot of firms that we work with find this to be their secret weapon, which is kind of ironic, but we're really proud of what we're doing and helping these different teams automating their processes from a desk level and empower new business lines and new productivity. And then for ATSs today, I know this is always a question that, what can I get right now? For Sidebar, it's compatible with Bullhorn, eRecruit, Loop, Lumas, and TempWorks. And so the second prong is Fire Sync, which is the VMS-wide VMS automation for your entire staffing firm. And so the way it works, we're really proud to do this, is that it's the fastest and most accurate automation tool in the industry, where when jobs come out from a VMS, if they're updated, if they change, etc., it's always kept up to date in your ATS. So they're loading in, they're posting into the appropriate place, they're tagging the right people, they have the right information to fill the job, and that really empowers new levels of productivity. And so we help firms from anywhere from 25 jobs a month from a VMS to 15,000 plus. It's a wonderfully scalable solution. as your clients have seasonality, as they have variance in what types of roles they're hiring, it always keeps up. There's never a slowdown in your business. And so when we look at what we're, who's entering in that information today, usually it's an account manager or the recruiter themselves as they work on the role, or an admin who's dedicated, whether in your company or offshore. And so when we start to look at those pieces, what could they be doing with that time instead? Could they be filling more roles? Could they be working on getting you onto new VMS lists? Or could that money just be better used elsewhere? And so this is a cloud solution for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, doesn't take a sick day, no holidays. And what it can really do is help improve that time to submit and increase your fill rate ultimately. These numbers came from an Innovero study, who's a great team, and they found that 35% improvement in hours to the first submit, which, as you guys all know, the first submit is king and will quite frequently be the one that fills the role. And ultimately, that leads to a 32% increase in fill rate by having all the right information so quickly. And so from what your recruiter's actual experience is, it's pretty magical, but it's still very familiar. We're not reinventing their processes. As soon as they get the VMS notification of the change, the update, the release, it is automatically posted into your ATS and creating those job records. And so there's some really neat things that some teams have done with this as well, whether it's analyzing what roles they're not filling and why, looking at analytics of what types of roles are we filling fastest, or even powering their job boards. And we have many clients that we're automatically putting up and taking down jobs as they are updated from the client. So there's never a dead or old job posted on the web. And again, this is a proven and trusted platform. We work with a variety of IT engineering, healthcare, and other varieties of staffing. And we're excited to dig into each different variant as we work with these different verticals and their unique needs, as these VMSs do vary pretty drastically between different verticals of staffing. And then for the ATS compatibility, we're adding new ones pretty much weekly. But as you can see right now, we have a good amount of compatibility today. And so thank you guys so much for your time. Again, I'm Tim Arnold, and we'll be at Staffing World booth 126 or TechServe Alliance's show as well. And love to hear what kind of questions you guys have today.
Able to ask questions on the side of your bar here that I will ask Tim, and he will answer. And actually, each presenter will answer after their presentation. So we do have a question, Tim, from Laura. She wants to know if this is a potential replacement for the VMS component that Bullhorn offers.
So the VMS access tool that Bullhorn offers, yes, this is very comparable, but has some distinct advantages from a speed perspective, what different fields are getting populated, and then what you can do with it. But we're definitely, you're on the same page there.
Sam would like to know if you're compatible with JobDiva.
We're not currently compatible with JobDiva. They have their own solution that has its own quirks, but they haven't had an interest in partnering with us to date.
What about Bond Adapt?
We are in talks with them, yes. Yeah, that's an important part too. Is we're a vendor neutral partner, so we work with any ATS that wants to work with us, and the list is again growing by day.
We got a technical question here. So when you're in Dice, the initial view, when you just see the person's name, before clicking to view the whole profile, will your tool check that name in your database?
That is a great question, and sounds like someone might have seen a demo before. Yeah, when you're on a search results list from the job board before you actually pay to click on the resume, if we're able to locate that candidate in the ATS, there will be a little flame icon next to their name, and if you just hover on that, it will give you the full candidate profile because you already have it. It's already your data, and so show you that information from your ATS rather than having to pay another $1 to look at that resume again.
Do you have a successful partnership with LinkedIn yet for the Fire tool to move profiles, etc.?
Yeah, we're working on that. It's interesting with their change of hands with Microsoft, so there's some things in flux, but they definitely like and respect what we're doing, and we actually will help your teams find LinkedIn profiles. So when you're looking at a active job candidate, say on DICE, you'll see social links to that candidate's Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Twitter, etc. And so you can communicate with them through those passive methods as well.
Got it. Do we need to give all the VMS logins and the job board logins to FHIR?
So for the desk level solution, the candidate sidebar that works with those job board sites, not at all. We don't need any access to that. It's just when your team opens up a candidate resume, it will directly start communicating with your ATS and loading that information in. For the cloud VMS sync solution, you do need to provide those logins for it to be able to function. And to do that, we actually offer a dashboard either baked directly into the ATS in their settings panel, or a standalone dashboard where the user or your team or your IT team can input those logins and set them up to point to specific companies within your ATS.
How will the tool know a candidate how will the tool know a candidate of John Smith if it's the correct John Smith in the ATS when it's in the use of the tool?
That's a great question, and something that we put a lot of thought into. So we use a variety of contact methods and other linking points to identify what is an exact match. And if we find multiple exact matches, so if you have a duplicate resume in your ATS, we'll actually show the recruiter information for each of the profiles that are that exact person. But a big part of what we wanted to do is make it so the recruiter could confidently know, without looking through a huge list of everyone named Tim, they could know that this is the Tim Arnold that I'm talking to, and there's a one-to-one match.
Got it. And so, do you guys go the other way as well? Is there a tool that puts the candidates into the VMS, not just the jobs into the ATS?
That is something we're actively working on, and we're really excited to bring to the market. It's definitely going to be a game changer to be able to, from within Bullhorn or whatever your ATS is, with one click, push that candidate into the submittal for the VMS. And we're excited to start kind of showcasing that Q1 of next year.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Tim. So everybody, we're going to do a poll right now, and then we'll move on to the next presentation.
Okay, participants, you see the poll up on your screen right now. It's really important to the software companies to get this feedback, so we'd really encourage you to click through this and give us your feedback. Thanks.
Time.
Come on, guys. I see that we have about 50% participation in this survey. Let's get that number up. There we go. Keep it up. Thanks very much.
All right. Next up is a company called Hireable. Hireable is a recruitment data analytics platform that integrates with applicant tracking systems to track candidate and hiring managers in order to identify new job offers and prevent backdoor hires and missed contractor conversion fees. John, take it from here.
All right, can you see my screen? Can you hear me there?
John, we hear you, but we don't see your screen quite yet.
It's not giving me the option to share. You try one more time. It's unfortunately not giving me the option here. There we go.
I see it.
You see it now?
Yes, sir. Go
You see my
ahead.
screen now, guys? Okay, guys. Thanks. So my name is John Guidi. I'm one of the founders of Hireable. Hireable is a data analytics platform that helps recruiters make more placements and more fees by improving the quality of the data in their ATS. Simply what we do is we compare private data versus public data. Private data being the data that the recruiting agency owns versus public data is all available data on the web. The problem is simple, that recruitment agencies count on recruiters, much like Tim was saying earlier, to manually track the movements of candidates, hiring managers, and then manually document them in the ATS. So the fact that recruiters live on KPIs that are other than documentation, things like activities, it could be send-outs, interviews, etc., that do not involve documentation, gives them very little motivation to do other than the bare minimum. This combined with the fact that in the agency world, on average, there's 42% recruiter turnover a year, ends up with ATS is often filled with less than highly accurate data. What this results in is a lot of wasted time. Recruiters calling people only to find out that they're not there anymore, or even more important is missed opportunities when positive events have happened. So the cost of bad data services really in three different ways. The first is not knowing the location of a candidate, or even worse, a hiring manager. The second would be not knowing the value of placements you have made. So for example, if a candidate you placed ends up being promoted in, over and over again, and you're not aware of that, or at least the ATS is not aware of that, that's a really positive indicator for a recruiter or a recruitment relationship with a client, and if it's not well documented, nobody's taking advantage of that. And finally, the idea of a missed fee, or what we call a backdoor hire. If clients are hiring your candidates without your knowledge, or converting them after a contract to a permanent placement without your knowledge, you're missing money. On that specific point, we believe around $1 billion a year are lost in missed fees just because of poor documentation. So a little bit more about us. We've been doing this for about 2 years, and everyone on our executive team is grounded in recruitment. All of us have either worked at desk and managed recruiters at some point in our career before getting into technology. Our team has built 3 different companies that have exited. Job Rooster, Talent Bin, and Evolve are all part of our team. And our technical team has the unusual skill set of being exposed to agency recruitment as well as highly technical data solutions. So our goal here is to really build a simple, usable product that helps recruiters make more placements. It's really built for recruiters by recruiters. Okay. So I put up a little quote here that I found interesting. Somebody sent this to me, that 10 years from now, we're going to be astonished basically at the way we used to make decisions based on newly available data. And this stuck with me because of a specific conversation that we had with one of our customers that really highlighted how bad data affects the recruitment business. One of our customers is a big multinational recruitment agency, and in Europe, the gentleman that runs their European business started out as a recruitment consultant in their Paris office 12 years ago now. And in a conversation with him, he had mentioned that he had placed somebody when he was working a desk, soon after he started in the business, at a very line-level finance position within a big multinational, multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation, and just doing his job as a day-to-day consultant. And he was a good consultant, so he got promoted, became a manager, and then a regional manager, and now he runs Europe. Well, what he recently found out is that person he placed 12 years ago now is the CFO at the company he originally placed him at as an entry-level, fairly entry-level position. And so the idea here that surfaces, what was the lifetime value of that relationship? What if he had kept up with that person over time? How many more placements could he have made under him? How could that relationship have been leveraged? And it wasn't. It wasn't because there was any bad intention. It was because people went separate ways and nobody was keeping track of the other person's career. That particular recruiter placed him, earned his fee, moved on. The candidate got his job, was happy, moved on, and nobody reconnected the dots. So it's just a simple example of how things can be improved by keeping more current data. So let me walk you guys through the basics of how our system displays back data and give you an idea of what I mean, the difference between private data and public data. So what I want to highlight is that there are a lot of updating services out there. Somebody can tell you when somebody changed job, but if you don't provide context to the recruiters, there's very little they're going to do with it. Just the awareness that somebody moved positions is only so helpful. What we provide is the context around that of why it's important to them. So back to my point about comparing public data and private data. When I say we grab your private data, what we're really grabbing is your submission record and telling you what's happened with those people. So a submission record could be as simple as on June 1st, we submitted Joe Smith, the candidate, to Google, and Dave Jones was the hiring manager. And by having those two specific people in that date and time, we know an event happened where they were interacting with your recruiter. So by updating the recruiter about those two people, what happens in their careers, whether they leave companies, whether they get promoted, whether they get hired without their knowledge, there's specific context around them. These are people that the recruiter has already interacted with. So what we're doing is highlighting for them a movement with somebody they already know, have already interacted with, that should prompt them to take action. So what you're seeing in front of you here, if you see my mouse moving over here, is what we would present back. What we call this is our submitted candidate reports. This is candidates that the recruiter has been submitting out to different clients who has taken a job not through them. So by having an awareness that, in this case, this recruiter, somebody named Rochelle Lohr, who they were submitting, was working at the Indiana Finance Authority, has now moved to Alpha Epsilon Pi as a controller. There's a couple of things they know there. Somebody that they've been interacting with has taken a new job, so there's an opportunity for them to call them at their new employer, and they should return the phone call because they've been in communication with them. And they're also aware that this isn't somebody they should continue submitting or continue prospecting for a job currently. And this is the basic concept of what we're doing. It's somebody they already know and have been working with. The next idea is hiring manager. So in our world, hiring manager is anybody that the recruiter is submitting resumes to. So somebody they've got a relationship with. And the same case here, if Allison Askew here moves from Newell Rubbermaid to Electrolux, there's a couple of opportunities for that recruiter to make an immediate phone call. One, to the old customer to make sure that when Allison leaves, they don't lose that relationship. And then obviously to follow that hiring manager to a new employer with an attempt to open up a new relationship there. So again, these are people they already know. We're not asking them to make cold calls. We're asking them to make warm calls and keep in touch with people that they have business history with. Next, this is something that we found very interesting. Very few recruiters follow up with candidates they've placed in the past over time, just like the example I'd mentioned about the gentleman in France. But the idea of candidate promotions, that every time you place somebody, we keep track of them and let you know when they got promoted. So if the recruiter has an opportunity to call a candidate and say, hey, looks like you've got promoted at 1 Kings Lane, that's great. Are you building a team underneath yourself? Or even in tracking the relationship over time, to go back at time of contract negotiation, that of the 200 people we placed at your company last year, 30 of them have been promoted. So measuring the success of the recruitment efforts you've got. And then, finally, the original thing we talked about is the idea of backdoor hire monitoring. who's hiring your candidates without your knowledge. What we found in this case is it is a big problem. It is mostly done unintentionally. It's usually a result of recruiter turnover and turnover within the HR department of your client company. So again, something we monitor for to let you know when somebody owes you money. And again, trying to keep this simple, actionable information, not big, fancy graphs that no one's going to read, but simply the person for the right recruiter or finance person, whoever it may be, to call today to get you guys closer to another fee. Same thing, we call it finishers. When a contractor goes back to a client without the recruiter's knowledge, notifications. It's just the contract version of the backdoor hire in the perm world. So again, those are the basics of what we do. A lot of times we've had people say, okay, so why do I care about these things? I've given you a few examples, but candidate movement, what we've learned is that under 40 years old now, the average person stays at a job barely 2 years. Over 40 years old, it's a little over 4 years. And the same thing with hiring managers. So candidates are moving, hiring managers are moving every couple of years. 1 in 500 submissions roughly results in a missed fee. And you know, every time somebody is promoted, again, there's a new opportunity to make a warm call. So instead of asking recruiters to make cold calls all day, which is very hard to get them to do, asking them to make warm calls to people that either they've already done business with or the firm's already done business with is much more likely to have a warm reception, get a return phone call, and lead to a productive event. So these are just a few examples of the way data can be used better to improve productivity, increase the velocity of what the recruiters are doing by getting higher return call rates, more job orders, more candidate referrals because they're calling people that they've done business with in the past as opposed to just cold calls. So who do we work with? We are ATS agnostic. We do have integrations with Job Science, Bullhorn, Bond is a name I heard earlier. But we are fairly agnostic. We are a fairly simple technology for somebody to integrate with. And in terms of data, we don't have a big data requirement. There's only a handful of fields we need for our system to work. So that's all I have in terms of presentation. Thanks for your time. Happy to answer anyone's questions.
Thank you, John. Sorry.
Any questions?
Yes, give me 1 second. So where is the data coming from?
So I'll answer both sides of that. In terms of the data from the ATS, we pull via API, we pull submission records depending on how the particular firm stores it. It can be in activities, it can be in a variety of ways. As long as it's logged in there somewhere, we can find it. The other side of the data that we compare to, we have a paid relationship with the major search engines. So what we tell people is technically any publicly available data is what we find. And let me know if you want me to go into more detail on that.
Could you go into more detail with that?
Yeah. So what we're finding is social profiles. Things, LinkedIn is our most common source. Any place where we can distill down where somebody works, it can be, there are things like LinkedIn, there are professionally specific sites like Doximity for healthcare people, for example, or lawyers have their own places online where they hang out, or Stack Overflow or GitHub for technology folks. So any place the search engines will find. Just to be clear, what we do not do is we don't ask anybody for any specific credentials to log into a site and then mine their personal information. We are strictly searching for public data that that is legally obtainable online.
That include LinkedIn?
It does.
And do you guys have an integration with Compass?
We don't have a formal integration, but we do have customers on Compass, and Compass works with us. It's not on the roadmap. It's not completed yet, but we do have customers working with them, and we have a method to successfully operate with them.
Could this act in the background of an ATS and update the candidates in the system even if they haven't been submitted to a client recently?
Yes.
All right. Do you have an integration with sendouts?
So we have an integration with Bullhorn. Bullhorn is no longer supporting new development with sendouts. We can work with the sendouts customer, but the integration itself, the formal integration is with Bullhorn because they're not developing new stuff for sendouts. But we can work with them. At some point, that platform is not going to be supported at all anymore.
Do you need a recruiter license with LinkedIn?
No.
And what is the data refresh rate?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're asking how frequently we do it. If that is in fact the question, the off-the-shelf, if you will, offering is monthly. We have some customers that want it more frequently, some customers that want it less frequently, and we can vary that depending on customer needs.
Got it. Perfect. That's all the questions we have, unless anyone else has anything else.
Great. I appreciate everyone's time on that.
All right, guys. We really want to encourage you again to take this poll. It's really helpful to the companies when you provide your feedback. Hey guys, the question's only up for 30 seconds, so we really need you guys to answer as quickly as possible. I see about 50% of you have voted. There we go. All right, thank you everybody. Last but not least, we have Recruit. Recruit is a job advertising platform that allows companies to reach talent where they hang out. Recruit turns your job descriptions into advertisements, which can be shown to candidates that have expressed interest in a job that have not completed the application process. Amit, take it from here.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be here. And I really appreciate the opportunity from TechServe to allow us to present. I'm Amit. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Recruit. So recently, we have seen a very constantly growing trend of HR gurus and writing about how recruiters should start thinking like marketers. And coming from marketing and advertising background, I always used to think that do we even have enough tools that can allow recruiters to act like that? Because the digital advertising tools out there, they're very complex for even the advertisers to use. So how about recruiters actually using it?
Amit, we can't see your screen. Try to just reset it.
Let me try that. Show.
There we go. We see it now.
Perfect. Yeah. So I was saying that's why we actually come up with the idea that how about building an actual analytics and advertising platform for recruiters based on the technology. And that's when we started collecting data, and we found out like over 90% of the candidates, they don't apply for a job on their first visit. And like if we look deeper that why it happens, there's so many reasons, like application process is too long, the content is not engaging, the job site is not mobile optimized, and like even in today's date, it's a very common thing to happen. Job description is not engaging. People don't know about the employer. They don't even know who this employer is. And not a lot of candidates want to go out and do that research if they're not really active, especially in case of passive candidates. They will probably pass on that. And the most common thing that we have seen is that candidates decide that they will come back. But in so many jobs out there on the web, it's very unlikely that they will find your job again. So that's why we come up with Recruit, which is the most advanced recruitment analytics platform, and we have reasons to support our claim when we say most advanced, and as well as a job advertising platform that allows employers to re-engage interested candidates who visited the job and then find candidates that are completely hidden from job boards. So I'll take you through our analytics platform and show you like why it's so different, why it's different than any other analytics platform out there in the market. So if you see, now I'll play the video. So if you see, like we talk about unique visitors, visit, conversions, visit time, conversion rate, very simple and very standard stats that you see here. But the difference is we have kept a very core focus on actually giving the data that's highly accurate. So if you see unique visitor and visit, that's the trend in our platform everywhere. And we tell, like, even if a candidate visits the job 10 or 15 different points, we can still see that what the actual source of entry for the candidate was. Was it a sponsored click? Was it an organic click? Was it a referral click? You will always have that detail. Also, what any ATS or you can say any other recruitment analytics platform can do in the market is cross-device targeting and cross-device tracking. Because we are built on advertising technology and our core idea was to build from advertising, we can do that. We like even if a candidate check your job on mobile first and then is visiting from web, we can still make sure that we take him as a repeat visitor and tell you that what kind of audience you're building. And that's exactly what takes it forward. Then the engagement time. This chart here tells you how much time a candidate is spending on each step of your application. You have a 4-step application process. How much time candidate is spending on each step? And if you see the engagement drop rate, it tells you where you're dropping candidates. So if you see on the questions is the least amount of time, but it's most amount of drop rate because candidates are just dropping. They don't want to apply too many questions. And this is the data you need to see visually in order to make adjustments in how your application process should work. And that's something that's typically it's not available in most of the analytics platforms. So more data about traffic, platforms, specific jobs that how they're doing, and same thing here, visits and visitors. Top sources, which sources are performing good for you. Now, this is all good and fine because, and this is all data, numbers, stats. And one thing I personally feel about analytics is it's like sad story. It will tell you everything that's what's wrong with your strategy, but never tell you what to do. So that's why we built a recommendation engine. And what this recommendation engine tells you, it gives you an actionable information and tells you exactly what you need to fix. So you see how your career website is looking. We give you a score and give you a checklist of everything that you need to do in order to enhance conversion and get more applicants. We give you a source breakdown that we are getting most candidates and what the conversion looks like. And with every section, you get recommendations. You can see that where you're getting more conversions, where you should invest more money. You get conversion breakdown on traffic data that we are gathering, and also on a historical level. And you can break it down based on categories, so you don't have to do like just making assumptions. You can break the data down and understand for which specific category, which source is performing better. And recommendation do the rest, like it tells you like for sales and management, like Indeed is performing good, invest more budget there. So it increases your ROI dramatically over time. device breakdown to how the device is performing, and then individual jobs as well, so you can see that which jobs need more candidates, which jobs need more visitors, which jobs need more conversions. And like you can see that what you can do in order to do that, if you need to run a retargeting campaign, if you want to run more advertising campaign, or if you need to distribute this job even more. And this is all information is available in a way that it's readable. It's not just numbers and stats. It's actionable information available to you. Same thing on your engagement analyzer, like tells you the time spent by candidates on your application process, where you're dropping candidates in your funnel, and we tell you like if you need to make any change in your application process as well. We read, like, because our technology allows us to read the career website, we can tell you that how friendly it is for Google, because you really want your career website to be ranked higher on Google and being visible. We see if it's SEO friendly or not, and give you a recommendation that how you can improve that as well. And now this is like one of my favorite parts, which is mobile rendering. So a lot of times when we start working with a client, they still don't know if their website is mobile optimized or not. And we can tell you right here that how it looks. And this is exactly what's happening, right? This website is not mobile optimized, and they should know it before going to market. And that's like here you get the recommendation that, you know what, you need to fix this. A lot of time, quick apply button, which is really important these days. Apply with LinkedIn, apply with any other social profile out there, so that applicants, when they come, they can apply faster and actually get move forward in the application process. So now this is done. You have all the data, you have an audience, you understand what you're doing, you understand how you're going to perform better. But in order to reach more applicants and in order to reach more candidates, we build a completely standalone advertising platform which allows you to create campaigns for web and social in one single click. And it's so easy, like you don't even have to do anything. We have all the jobs that are in there in your system. You can come select the jobs and just click up send. And you can see the preview that how gorgeous they look and how engaging they are just than a static job posting. And it's like a lot of time, like people talk to us and say, hey, you know what? I can run social campaigns. It's not running social campaigns that's important. It's like understanding that what each campaign can do for you is important, and like you need to have a strategy. Just like any advertising strategy, you need to have a specific goal in order to run each campaign. That what you're looking for. And being in industry like advertising industry prior, we understand that which campaign can help you going forward. So for example, retargeting campaign. This is like best when you have high traffic coming through, you're spending a lot of money on job boards and job aggregators, getting a lot of traffic but not have a lot of conversion. So this can really help you re-engage those candidates, and not just on one particular job. You can create your own audience. So if you have like 100 marketing jobs this month, you can use the same audience next month for other set of 100 marketing jobs. So you're creating an audience, you're making them see your job constantly and keeping them engaged. Lead generation, this is very important for, and this is a very successful campaign that we run for a lot of hard to fill jobs, reaching out like passive candidates. Also, I would say it's very important if you want to reach out to the passive candidates or like who are not on job boards, who don't really want to like get email alerts or anything. You can get opt-ins with this. And like a lot of like one of the clients we're working with, they want to do some diversity hiring. So they want to target specific demographics, and the lead generation campaigns works remarkably well for them. And then you have search. So job seekers start their job search with Google. And if you can reach them there when they search, you have the best chances of getting the most active job seekers. And also a lot of time like not so active, because a candidates like who just say, okay, you know what, I'll give it a shot, but I'm not sure if I'm looking for a job. They will still come to Google for that. And if you can capture them there, you have high probability to get them into your funnel or into your job, candidate database. So if you're still thinking that why we're better, because we have a technology which is proven in other space and in other verticals, and we have built it for recruitment. And we're built in such a way that it's not too hard to run or to manage. Even the campaigns that we talk about here, self-optimized. So once you launch, you don't even have to come back and manage them because we have smart algorithms that optimizes campaign in real time and make everything work for you. We have case studies. We have worked with some job aggregators for retargeting campaigns, and we have seen some remarkable results and conversions. And this is pretty much like what the initial overview is. And we're working on all more great products and building our analytics platform even more robust. And I'm open for questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. So does anybody have any questions? You guys are able to ask questions on the right side of your screen. So Amit, how does this, here we go. Yeah, that was the exact question I was just going to ask. How does this differ from Recruitix?
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I work really close with Recruitix guys. I know from their president to their sales team, everyone. And recruiting is completely different from us. Like, first of all, they don't have any social stuff. Like, they rather are there planning to use work with us in their social campaign. Recruitix is a programmatic ad buying for job boards only. They don't have retargeting. They don't have anything else. Secondly, their analytics platform tells you it's more price-centric. So they have a really good analytics platform as well, but it's more price-centric. So they tell you like how a source is performing based on the pricing. Our advantage actually there is we are candidate-centric. So we tell you how a candidate is engaging with your job site or your job posting and what you can do in order to improve that relationship.
Got it. What platforms do you integrate with?
Like as far as like advertising platforms or like ATSs, as far as the ATSs, I'll take that first. So the way we have built technology, we can literally work with any ATS. So like, because like we don't really have to go much deeper into ATSs, we have a small pixel that we call Magic Pixel that sits on the career website. It's super easy to do. It's like for any developer, 15 minutes of work. And that's why like we kept it very simple integration. So we can typically work with anyone.
Got it. And what about, how does this compare to Hootsuite?
Okay, so Hootsuite is, again, it's a social media tool. It's good, but now they don't understand recruitment. And secondly, they don't have the analytics that we have. Secondly, Hootsuite is like they have some integrations where they're like I won't say like just posting jobs and all that, but they're not typically like the kind of advertising platform that we are building. Secondly, even if on Hootsuite, you have to go and manage those campaigns. As a recruiter, you probably would not have that much time, and like not a lot of recruiters like actually have those those kind of skills when they can manage the advertising campaign. Here, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that at all.
Got it. And if the application process is not mobily optimized, will Recruit optimize the process for us?
Now that we can do, but what we can do is we can make recommendations. So what we can do is like when we see that the application process is not mobile optimized, we can actually like, as you can see, there was the rendering. We can actually tell you what the easiest way in order to get it mobile optimized. Like a lot of time what happens is you build your career website on top of an ATS or a CRM, they're hosting it, and they're responsible for managing it. So we can give you recommendations, but since we're not in that space yet, but we can definitely tell you that how you can take it forward.
We had a deeper question to the Magic Pixel. And so Christopher wants to know if it says is the Magic Pixel just grabbing from the career portal and then pushing it to your tool, and then you can set the tool to auto post?
Exactly, actually, and that's a very good question from Christopher. So when the Magic Pixel sits on the career portal, after that, we can literally grab like all the key information that we have to through the Magic Pixel, and that's the reason we call it Magic Pixel actually. So you don't have to come and manually post the job. So when you go into your Recruit dashboard, you will actually see all the jobs, and it's on 24-hour refresh. So every time there's a new job posted on your career portal, we will actually list it there. So like it's actually auto post throughout.
Has Recruit been used in any other vertical industry other than staffing or IT specifically?
Well, we have a lot of a lot of people we're talking to. They have constantly asked us that we should release like a similar product for SMB market, because there are like a lot of startups and small businesses where they don't have marketing and like marketing teams where they can run campaigns, and they don't necessarily have the skills. So we are actually getting approached by people who want to use our platform for their digital marketing needs. But right now our focus is on recruitment.
And what specific verticals within recruitment do you focus on?
Can you say that again?
What verticals within recruitment are you focusing on?
In recruitment, actually, it's because the way platform is built, like we don't necessarily have to say like that we can do for technical job postings or marketing or sales, because it's about like using the ad platform in the right way with the right category. So we have a lot of data which we match with the right strategy for a particular campaign. So right now it's very open. Giving you some data, like we have worked with some healthcare clients. We have really good success for nursing, for example. We have worked with some clients for technical hiring, where, as I said, the lead generation campaigns work really well for hard-to-fill jobs. So that's exactly what the whole power here is. It's about like using a platform with a strategy and actually knowing what the goal is, and it can really work out.
Got it. Do you post the job from an ATS or inside Recruit?
Yeah, so that's actually to some extent similar. What the Magic Pixel does is, so once you have this, the job will stay in the ATS, and you don't have to come and manually post it on Recruit. The job will stay in ATS. Once the Magic Pixel is sitting on your career website, we can grab the job from there. So typically what we need is a URL, the job URL. We can grab it from the ATS, and we'll show you there. And all you have to do is you have to select that if you want to run which kind of campaign, like if you want to run a retargeting campaign for that, or if you want to run a lead generation campaign or search campaign or anything. So that's all you have to do it from Recruit. You don't have to manually import or do anything to bring your jobs. We will get it all done automatically.
So I guess the big question here is the integration two-way? So if you edit information in Recruit or vice versa, does it go both ways?
Oh, can you say that again?
Is the integration between the ATS and Recruit two-way, or is it just one way? So does the data go from Recruit into the ATS, or can it go from the ATS into Recruit also?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So the way it works is we don't bring candidates to Recruit at all. So like when we create a campaign, it's like they're automatically redirected to the final destination, like the job page, wherever it is, it's posted on the ATS or CRM, wherever it is. So that allows us to keep it very lean. So like for employers or a recruiter, they don't have to manage candidates here, and like the data like flows very seamlessly. Secondly, we do have API, and we're like slowly trying to see like which ATSs where we can show our analytics there as well. But like as far as like the candidate information, we don't bring it to our platform at all. So like the employers don't have to worry about that.
Do you integrate with Bond Adapt?
No, not yet.
Great. Well, I see some questions regarding pricing from people, but this is not the forum for that. So you'll have the opportunity to reach out to these companies directly after the demo presentation, where you can ask those questions. Amit, I want to thank you for your presentation, and everybody, please complete this poll, and then we will follow up with a conclusion and a brief survey of the overall feedback on the demo day. Thank you. Let's go, guys. 53% have voted. We need more than that. There we go. All right, guys, keep it going. Last question. And Jenny, you could take over from here.
All right, just letting a few more people put in their vote for that final poll question. So everyone, we would like to thank you from TechServe Alliance for coming and participating in today's virtual demo day. We especially would like to thank our presenters today, John, Tim, and Amit, for showing us their emerging technologies. As a reminder, this webinar will be posted on our TechServe Alliance webpage, along with our other webinars. So this will be available post today if you missed any information or want to review it again. We also will be sending out contact information for each of the presenters, so that way you can reach out to them and find out more about their products. John, did you have any final words you wanted to say?
Yeah, this is Brian. Thank you, Jenny. Listen, we want to thank everyone for their participation today. It's most appreciated. We're going to continue to identify emerging technologies that we think can be of help to you and your companies in improving performance. So please keep an eye out. We'll be happy to engage with you specifically if you have any questions for us. And thanks very much, TechServe, for allowing us this opportunity.
Great. Once again, thank you, everyone, and we will be sending out information and a link to today's webinar in a follow-up email. In that email, we'll have everyone's contact information for you. Thank you for participating today, and have a good day.